Thanks for tuning in. My name is Swan, and this class is a request from a couple of friends who wrote and said, Swan, can you teach a class that helps me with my neck pain, my lower back pain, and also my butt has shrunk from all these hours of sitting. Actually, my butt is fine. Their butt, not my butt. But jokes aside, let me tell you why you're probably feeling the way you are right now. Yeah, so this is probably the new normal for most of us, except you're not here. You're probably here. Yeah, you're probably here. My grandma would be aghast if she knew I sat like this. But what's happening when you sit is that inevitably your shoulders will end up being pulled forward, and because your head is heavy, your chin will be probably down towards the ground. You're looking at something, your laptop, and then when you come up to standing, you're gonna go, oh, my hips, my back, right? So, theme of today's class is just to open up stuff in the front and strengthen whatever is in the back. And if you are watching this while seated on a chair, congratulations. You don't even need to stand up for the next few ones, yeah? Those of you who are actually on your mat ready to move, I would love if you could pull up a chair, one that's sturdy, and come to a seat. Yeah, so go ahead and hit pause, find your chair, and then once you have chair, come forward. So instead of leaning all the way back, sit forward so you can be more in an upright position and you have a little bit more space to move around here. Now, really easy to stretch out the lower back. Open your knees wide enough that when you tilt forward, it gives your body some space to come down through your legs. So if you're here, that's fine. Let your chin drop in towards your chest. But then if your hands can reach the floor, drop the head down and let the elbows bend so the shoulders can actually just chill out here. Slow shake of the head from side to side. And then as you stay down in this fold position, keep bringing awareness to your lower back and feel the stretch in that area. Now everybody sit, stay here, continue to breathe. If your hands are all the way down to the floor and you have more space, start to walk your hands backwards through your legs to the back of your chair. And then if your hands do reach and grab, you go ahead and grab the back legs as well and use that leverage to pull yourself forward. Not the end of the world if you have a different chair than mine, or if you have a rolly chair. Yeah, if you have a rolly chair, please be careful. Yeah, put the chair onto your mat and keep your feet planted so your butt does not slide out from underneath you. You're here for a couple more breaths. Drop the head down, let it go. And then to come out, come all the way back up in reverse. All the way back up, right? You should feel a little bit taller. Now, bring the seat forward a little bit more so you are on the edge of the chair. And then, this is a hip opener, left ankle over right knee. Let me show you from the side profile here. So, cross the ankle over your knee, flex the foot, and start to aim this outer left knee down towards the ground, yeah? So you're opening up this front, the hip flexor here. If this is well, stay here. If you want more, start to reach your chest forward. Careful not to round, but keep this length and reach of the spine, and things should get interesting right about now. Keep aiming this left knee down towards the floor. Try not to let the knee pop up towards the face. And then keep working on the extension of the spine here. So take your heart space, reach it forward. Couple more breaths here. Keep reaching your chest forward. You're going for a stretch in your hip, yeah? This big muscle to the, where the leg attaches to the body. So if you feel like there's a lot of straining happening in the upper body, come up a little bit higher so you can get more sensation here in the hip flexor. And then come all the way back up. 2 feet on the floor. You're going to switch sides. Your right ankle over your left knee. Flex the foot. Sit up tall. And then actively start to create more distance. So press your right knee down towards the floor. Inhale, lengthen the spine. And then as you exhale, take this forward reach of the torso. Straighten out the spine. Take your chest and stretch it towards the front. Just notice what's happening in your facial muscles. Relax the jaw. In fact, open the mouth slightly so you cannot grit your jaw here, your teeth here. Next stage, take your right hand and start to reach it down towards the floor. What this arm does is it just creates a little bit of extra weight and creates more stretch in that right hip flexor there. And then come all the way back upright. Good. And one more pose seated. This pose we did earlier. Open your legs wide and then bring your body forward. Elbows to the inside of the knees. Let your head drop down. And then coming all the way back up to standing. You are standing. So come up to standing, turn around and face your chair. So again, make sure your chair is really stable. I have my chair at this angle because I need it for the camera angle, but if you have a wall space, prop it up against a wall like so the chair does not slide out from underneath you when you're using it. So push your chair against the wall, kneel and face the chair, come down onto your elbows, keep your elbows on the chair, and start to walk your knees backwards. So you're looking to find a long straight spine here, really sexy pose here. So, two ways to approach this pose. First variation, I want you to actively press your chest down towards the floor. You're going to feel a pretty big stretch in the upper back, particularly the space between your shoulder blades. What's going on with your neck? Take out the tension from your neck. You can even rest your head on the chair seat itself or let it hang. Jaw, relax it. Okay, next variation will look very similar, except you get to stretch out the lats here. So lift your chest slightly away from the floor. Walk the knees forward just a touch so you're not as wide here. I'm gonna adjust my chair a little bit. Okay, start from your tail, Instead of pointing it up towards the ceiling where the tailbone is flaring out, tuck your tail under, So you're rounding in the lower back. Keep the tail tucked under. Start to drop your chest down towards the floor without forcing anything. You're looking for a stretch in your lats, These big, they call them the swimmer's muscles. It goes from here and attaches to your arm bone there. So if you were to keep the tail tucked under and drop your chest down, you feel a stretch here even more in your lats. Stay here and breathe. And if you're like, I don't feel much, fine. Get a water bottle or something that's about shoulder width apart. Hold the bottle back onto your elbows and lower down towards the floor. Once you've hit your limit, start to curl the bottle towards your skull. So this, with the hands separated and the arm bone in this position, you should feel a bigger sensation, just bigger stretch in the body there. Okay, and then start to straighten the elbows, walk the knees back up, come all the way back upright, and don't need the chair anymore, ditch it, move it aside. And now, for this next pose, you are going to need something long, like a strap or like a yoga belt if you have one, okay? It's gonna look like this. So, I have both. I'm actually using a tie. I know ties are expensive. This is one that I don't really care about. We don't really care about, okay? So, hold the strap in front of you. You can kneel, you can sit. And then keep tension in the strap, pull apart, and start to lift the strap up towards the ceiling. Try to clear your head, and then lower the strap behind you. You'll get to a point where you go, okay, there's some resistance there. Don't break through it. Instead, hold it, hold the stretch, breathe into it, and then clear the head, bring it back down towards the floor. You're going to repeat this a few more times. Inhale, raise the arms up. Notice if the head starts to fall forward, keep the spine upright. And then clear the head, come back down. Do this a few more times with your own breath. So keep pulling at your strap, your towel, your belt. And then notice if your elbows start to bend, keep both elbows straight. And if your elbows are bending, you might need to give yourself a little bit more strap space here. So make your hands wider. Do this a few more times. Back behind you. Clear the head. Lower back down. Let's go for two more. Keep pulling at the strap or your belt. Up, clear, back, and down. This should, with more time, your shoulders will feel like it's getting a little bit warmer and you should have more range of motion here. Okay, and then finish off this one, all the way back down to the floor. and then you don't need this anymore, move the strap out of the way and come down to your hands and your knees. So you're in tabletop position. Set up, shoulders, elbows, wrists, so your joints are stacked. Hips over your knees, and let's go for 5 rounds of cow and cat here. So inhale, drop the tail, stick the bum up, lift the back of the neck so the neck stays super long here. Exhale and round the spine into cat stretch. Drop the head down. And 4, breathe in. And out into cat stretch, round. How's your breath? Keep going. Inhale, smooth inhalations in. Smooth exhalations out. And 2 more, breathe in, let the belly drop. Neck is long, squeeze your shoulder blades at the very, very top. Exhale into cat stretch, round the spine. And then one last one, breathe in here. And then breathe out, round into cat stretch. Come back to neutral, so the spine is somewhere between those two. This is a shoulder opener. Free up your right hand and slide the arm all the way through. So your head, your forehead lands down on your mat. And then once you feel stable, your left hand, come up to your left fingertips. Push into your hand to find a little bit more rotation here. So left hand is pushing strongly down into the floor. And you're starting to roll more towards the right shoulder blade. Those of you who have a little bit more space, yeah? Listen carefully. Left leg. I'll give you a second to sort out which is left. Stretch the left leg back behind you. And then start to kick it forward, the straight leg towards the front of the mat. And then you can use the foot as an anchor. Push the foot into the ground to help you turn the chest open even more. Sometimes I do this pose and I actually tumble out of it. That's fine. If you fall, pick it up, pick yourself up, try again. Okay, bring this left leg back behind you. Come back up to all fours. Reset, so you're back in tabletop position. And then switch sides, take your left hand and slide it through. Keep going until the upper back, the shoulder blade lands on the floor. Side of the head lands on the mat. Walk your right hand out to the floor, come up to your fingertips, and then apply some pressure. Push into your right hand to spiral your chest open a little bit more. Direct your breath to your upper back, to the space between your shoulder blades. And then those of you who stretch one leg out behind you, this time it is your right leg. Straighten the leg back behind you first, and then walk it out to the side. And then maybe your hand will even catch the foot itself. And then push into your right hand to turn your chest even more. Step your right hand back in, bring your right leg back, come all the way back up to all fours. Let's go through 1 round of cow and cat to neutralize everything. Inhale, lift the belly, drop the belly, exhale into cat stretch. Come back to neutral, stay here, keep your thigh bones vertical, giant step forward with both hands and start to lower your chest, your throat, directly down towards the floor. So if you're in a lift, it's going straight down. Don't force anything. If your head somehow lands up on the floor, fine. If not, keep it up in free space. The sensation you're looking for will be very similar to the same stretch you did while you were facing the chair on your elbows. Except this is much, probably you get a bit more sensation here. Step the hands back in towards you. Come all the way back upright. So you're back on all fours. A brief downward dog. Tuck the toes under. Lift the knees off the mat. And then go for length here. So keep the knees bent. See what I'm doing here? I keep my knees bent. I start to pull my bum backwards. Like I try to create more distance between my hips and my hands. So I go as far back as I can, finding extension of the spine before I straighten my knees. Press down into the base of all 10 fingers. And then if your legs are like, whew, my legs, fine. Alternate first bending one knee, linger there, and then switch. So you're waking up the whole back seam of the legs. Shake out the head and nod the head. Let the hips sway from side to side. Keep reaching the hips away from the front of the mat so you're finding more length in the spine. Take one more breath here. High lunge. Step your right foot to the front of the mat. If it doesn't get there, give it some help. Walk it forward. Slight bend in the back knee. Come upright. And raise your arms up to the ceiling. If your chest is starting to puff forward, contain that. Draw the ribs belly into the spine. So engage your core here and then find length. Visualize yourself getting longer through the sides of your body. As you drop deeper into that right knee, power up through the back heel. So press the left heel to the back of the space. Take an inhale here. Exhale here. Keep the shape of the legs. Swing the arms back behind you and tilt forward. There's a lot of weight going forward. Counter that. Drive the left leg to the back of the space. Start from the shoulders. Shoulders, lift them away from the ears. And start to lift your arms up towards the ceiling. Keep the neck long, squeezing the arms in towards one another. Set your left hand down to the floor. We're taking a twist and then start to turn your chest out to your right side, reaching the right hand up to the ceiling. Bend more into that right knee, but press the left heel back. If you're sinking in the shoulders, push the floor away. Keep reaching the right hand up. And then land your two hands back down to the floor. Step it back into downward dog. Set up your feet about hips wide, hands about shoulder wide. If you have tighter shoulders, fine. Take up more space. Let your hands be as wide as your yoga mat even. Left leg reaches up and back behind you. Breathe in here. Step the left foot all the way forward. Use your hands. Grab it. Bring your left foot forward. Come up to your high lunge, crescent lunge. They call this crescent in California. In the East Coast, in the US or New York, we call them high lunge. Arms reach up. That is your useless fact of the day. Left knee bends deep. Power up through the back leg. Sit a little bit lower. Draw the belly in towards the spine to contain your ribs here. Take an inhale here. And then take that forward tilt. Swim the arms back behind you. And lift your upper body up towards the ceiling. Lift your arms up. Squeeze them in. Heart is pulling forward. Power up through the back leg. Pay attention to your breath. If it's getting choppier, slow down the breath. Make the breaths even and deep here. Take the twist, right hand down to the floor. Let your left knee bend even more. So you're sinking more in your hips. Turn your chest out to your left side. Top hand, reach it up. Bottom hand is pushing down. Land your two hands down to the floor. Step it back into downward facing dog. Breathe in here. Breathe out here. Head, drop it. Nothing to see here. So let your head hang. So your gaze is probably somewhere between your 2 feet. We'll do that sequence one more time. Right leg lifts up and back behind you. Step the right foot all the way forward. And this time, land your left knee down to your mat. Come all the way upright, so you're in low runner's lunge. Take a tail tuck in under, and then interlace the hands behind the back. Squeeze your elbows in, so you're firming the elbows in. Start to straighten the elbows down towards the floor. So you're opening anterior, the front side of the shoulder. Adding a bit of a back bend. Lift the chest up towards the ceiling, but keep drawing the belly in towards the spine so you don't feel a lot of crunching in your lower back. And then bring the body all the way upright. Two hands, bring it out to your left hip or left side of the lower back, and then bring this left elbow, squeeze it in. So from the front, you'll look like this. Wing it back, and then start to lower your right ear to your right shoulder. Oh, you're gonna feel an interesting stretch in the left side of the neck. Keep this dynamic. You're welcome to drop your chin into your chest and then roll your chin out to one side. Just kind of test it out. Feel how the neck feels. And then bring your head back upright. Release the arms. Back up to the ceiling. Take an inhale here. Exhale, hands, fingertips down to your mat. Back knee, pick it up. Drive through the back heel. Take your chest and reach it forward. And sweep your right leg up and back behind you into three-legged dog. Believe it or not, the work here is actually on this base leg. So can you pin your left hip crease, left sitting bone back, drive the left heel down towards the floor. Now then lift the right leg a little bit higher up towards the sky. Two legs down to the floor, downward dog. Low runner's lunge, left leg up, inhale. Step through, exhale. Right knee comes down to the mat, climb up. Interlock the hands behind the back, so bring the opposite thumb index finger on top. Squeeze your elbows in towards one another. Straighten your knuckles down to the floor. So really work on puffing the chest open, like you're trying to bring the chest through the gates of the arms here. And then adding the back bend, knuckles reach down, chest lifts up towards the ceiling. Find a position that's comfortable for your neck. If it hurts to look up, don't look up. Look straight forward. Simple. Upright the torso, find that hook. Two hands out to your right hip. Squeeze your right elbow backwards, and then drop your left ear to your left shoulder. Play around this neck stretch. You can start to roll your chin in towards your chest, and then roll your chin around a little bit. And if there's a spot where it feels good for you to hold the stretch, go ahead and do so. Lift the eyes, raise your arms back up to the ceiling, take an inhale here. Exhale, lower your hands down to the floor. Take this back into three-legged dog. The kneecap and the toes are pointing straight down towards the floor. Start to lower your right heel down towards your mat. And then make sure your right side of the body is as long as your left. So pull that right hip crease backwards. Power up through your both hands. Two legs down to the floor, back in downward dog. Take an inhale here. Exhale here and drop your knees down into a child's pose. Open your knees wide, sit the butt back. Walk your hands forward. So go for length. Keep walking the hands to the front. At the same time, take your bum, sit down and back. Direct your breath to your upper back. Every time you breathe in, feel like your upper back is broadening. There's more space. When you breathe out, empty out completely. Okay, come all the way back upright. So that's pretty much the front part of the body. We open up the front of the shoulders, the hip flexor. Now I'm going to strengthen, do some strength work on the back side of the body. So go ahead and come down onto your back. Lie down. I'm going to tilt the angle down a little bit more. And then we're going to take bridge pose. So feet, knees about hips wide. Run the hands by the sides. With your hands, reach down and grab a handful of your mat and curl your fingers around your mat, yeah? Okay, start with your feet, lift your hips off the floor, lift up higher, and then with your hands, pull apart like you're trying to rip your mat in half, but start to tuck your shoulder blades in underneath you. So you're walking your elbows in towards the midline, hands are pulling apart, get a little bit more height here. So no soggy and saggy hips here, I don't want here. So tuck your tail under and keep driving up. If you're not sure what's working, free up your hands and poke around on your bum. They should feel engaged here. Stay lifted. We're gonna stay here. If you want more, we'll go from double to single leg. Left leg up. Whew. Hold. Drive your right heel into the mat, a little bit more height. So you're working the right bum. Left foot comes down to the floor. Release all the way down to your mat. One more time. Grab onto your mat, wrap your fingers around it. Lift up into bridge pose. Pull at the mat, Walk your upper arms in towards one another. Stay here. Watch the throat, yeah? If your chin starts to drift in towards your chest, press the back of the skull down towards the mat. Next stage, right leg comes up. Most of us, this left side is probably the weaker side, so this should feel like it's working like a lot. A lot. Little bit more height drive into your heels. Right foot comes down. Release all the way down. And then as a counter pose, open your feet as wide as your mat, but bring your knees in together to touch. So your thigh bones are rolling in towards one another. This helps release the sacrum, the lower back here. We'll start to wind things down. From here, keep the feet as wide, but start to lower your knees down to one side. So you're windshield wiping your knees from side to side, back to the middle and switch. Inhale, middle, and exhale. Do that a few more times. Visualizing your legs like the windshield wipers of your cars, right? They're going right to left, left to right. And then eventually, bring the feet back to the middle so they're hips width, into a hip opener, right ankle over left knee, and pick up the legs, either holding onto the back of the left thigh bone or hold onto the shin bone. You did this earlier seated. This version, you're just lying down, yeah? And then now, to increase the sensation of the stretch, start to lower your sacrum, your bum, down towards the ground here. Keep the shoulders fairly relaxed. We'll take a second variation of this pose. It's one of my favorite poses actually. Keep the shape of the pose, but land your left leg down to the mat. And then you're going to tip the pose out to its side. So this right foot will end up standing on the floor. Take your left hand, grab the ankle or the shin to anchor this leg down. And here's the work. Don't let the knee fall towards your face. Press it forward to the front side of the mat. Upper body is in the twist. Open up your right hand on the floor away from you. This gets into the obliques, the sides, the hip flexor, a little bit of the IT band, the upper back too, with the reach of the right hand away from you. Keep pushing that right knee forward towards the front, like you're trying to land the knee above your left ankle, the one that's on the ground here. Come all the way back upright. Release, left ankle over right knee, flex, and then grab a hold of the back of the right leg, pull in. Draw the shoulders down, take an inhale here. Exhale here. 2 more breaths, inhale. Exhale. And then again, breathe in. And then lowering your right foot back to the floor. Tip the pose out to your right side, so your left foot ends up on the ground. Anchor your foot, reach out with your right hand and hold onto the ankle. Press your left knee away from you. You're opening up this hip here. Left hand is reaching away from you in a twist. Come all the way back upright. Unravel your legs. Squeeze your knees into your chest. Gentle rock from side to side. And then continuing your way all the way back up. So you're seated. Okay, one last finishing pose here. Into a seated hip opener, either Sukhasana. So you're going to sit cross-legged, but make a stride narrower. Yeah. So you're trying to line up your knee over your ankle. Inhale here. Exhale, fold forward. Can we go for 5 more breaths? Activate your feet. So look at your ankles, take out the wrinkles. You're pulling your toes up towards the kneecaps and you're aiming the knees down towards the floor. All the way back upright and switch. Bring the opposite leg out in front of you and narrow it. So ankle over knee, knee over ankle. Flex both feet. Inhale here, sit up tall. Exhale, walk it forward. Here's the deal, you're not trying to bring your face down towards the floor. Instead, lengthen. Lift your chest away from the ground and then use the strength of the arms to pull your chest forward. So even though you're less compact, this will increase the stretch sensation that you will feel in your hips here. Walk the hands all the way back upright. Sit here, close the eyes. And I want you to sit here and breathe here, just for a minute here with me. So when you breathe in, count the number of seconds for your in-breath. Do the same for your out-breath. The next time you breathe in, make sure your inhalations actually match your exhalations, making the cadence of your breath stable and sturdy. And then from here, blink the eyes open, drawing your hands at the very heart center, lift the chest and bowing the head down towards your heart to close on your practice. Namaste. Thanks for moving with me. Take care. See you next time.